I never thought I'd be the guy writing one of these stories, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 8 years now. We met pretty young, fell hard, and got engaged pretty quickly. Honestly, I always thought we had a good thing going, at least that's what I believed until recently. Things started feeling a little off a few months ago. Lisa became more distant, defensive even when I asked about plans or her day. She'd brush me off, say she was busy at work or tired. Then there were the little things, her phone buzzing constantly, hiding it when I came near, deleting messages. She'd get snippy if I tried to look over her shoulder. I figured maybe she was stressed or just tired of me pestering her. I was stupid to overlook the signs, I guess, but I wanted to believe in us. Then came the night of our rehearsal dinner. It was supposed to be a fun, intimate evening with close friends and family, a celebration of our upcoming wedding. I was excited, finally tying the knot with Lisa, the woman I loved. But I didn't notice anything strange that night. Lisa was her usual bitchy self, snapping at people, acting a little defensive. She was never the warmest person, but I chalked it up to pre-wedding nerves or just her being her usual bitchy self. The thing is, I should have paid more attention. I wish I had. It wasn't until a few days later that I stumbled upon the truth. I was cleaning out my phone, doing the usual scroll through photos, messages, whatever. I don't really remember why I picked up Lisa's phone, but I did. I'd noticed her acting strange lately, so I thought I'd check her messages, something I'd never normally do. But that night I was desperate to understand what was going on. That's when I saw them, messages between Lisa and David. David is my best friend. We've known each other since college, been through everything together. I trusted him with my life, until I saw those texts. They were flirty, intimate, and downright disgusting. They were sneaking around behind my back, and I didn't get it until I read the words. They talked about meeting up, about sex, about how much they wanted each other. I couldn't believe it. My heart stopped. I remember staring at the screen, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. My mind was racing, trying to process it. How could Lisa, the woman I was about to marry, cheat on me just days before our wedding, and with my best friend no less? I felt a mix of rage, heartbreak, and utter betrayal, like everything I believed in was crumbling right then and there. I wanted to scream, cry, break something, but all I could do was sit there, stunned. I knew I had to confront her, but I didn't want to do it right away. I needed to gather my thoughts, figure out what to say, what to do next. But deep down, I knew this wasn't just a slip-up. It was a betrayal that was going to change everything. The next day, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying that moment in my head, the images burned into my mind like a scar. I kept asking myself how I missed the signs, how I was so blind to what was happening right under my nose. I mean, Lisa always had a comeback, a lie ready to brush off any suspicion. She's good at lying, that one. She's bitchy, manipulative, and fiercely defensive. She's had me wrapped around her finger for years, but this was on a whole other level. That morning I decided I couldn't keep pretending. I needed answers, no matter how much it would hurt. I sat her down in the living room. She was wearing that typical smirk, the one she always deploys when she's about to lie her way out of something. I looked her right in the eyes and told her I knew. She blinked, her face flickering with that fake innocence she always puts on. "What are you talking about?" she said, all defensive, like I was accusing her of stealing a cookie from the jar. I pulled out her phone and showed her the messages. I saw her eyes flicker with a brief flash of panic. That was the moment I realized she knew she was caught. She started lying faster than I could keep up. "It's nothing," she spat. "Just some stupid messages, nothing serious. David and I are just friends." She laughed bitterly. "You're overthinking it. You're always paranoid." "Maybe I need some space, okay? I don't know why you're making such a big deal out of this." I felt my blood boil. I wanted to yell, to scream, to shake her and make her admit everything, but I kept my cool. I knew I needed to hear her out even if I didn't believe her. So I pressed her on it, asked her if she'd ever cheated before, if she'd been lying to me for all these years. She rolled her eyes, got bitchy quick. "You're just some insecure little man who can't handle a little truth. Maybe I should have told you sooner, but I didn't think you'd understand." She crossed her arms, acting annoyed. Her tone was sharp, dismissive. I could see her trying to act like I was the crazy one, that I was overreacting, but I knew better. I felt it. I knew there was more to the story. Still, I was confused, hurt, and furious. I didn't want to believe it, but the evidence was staring me right in the face. Still, I asked her outright, "Are you sleeping with him? Are you cheating on me?" Her lips curled into a sneer. "Please, David and I are just talking. Nothing's happening. You're just jealous because I don't want to be with a guy who's so insecure." Her words stung more than I thought they would. I could feel the tears prick at my eyes, but I refused to let her see me break. That day, I realized that everything I thought I knew about Lisa was a lie. She's manipulative, bitchy, and she'll lie her way out of anything. But more than that, I felt this deep, gnawing emptiness inside. My trust was shattered. I didn't know if I could ever look at her the same way again. I kept asking myself how I got here, how I went from the man who thought he was marrying his soulmate to the guy whose entire world had just collapsed. I didn't have the answers then, but I knew one thing. This wasn't just about the cheating. It was about the fact that she had lied to me for years, probably behind my back all along, and I'd been too blind or maybe too scared to see it. Now, everything was different. I spent the rest of the day trying to process what I'd learned. My mind kept circling back to David. How could a friend do this to me? How could Lisa betray me so blatantly just days before we were supposed to get married? The betrayal cut deep, and I knew I'd need time to figure out what to do next. For now, I just stayed quiet, letting the storm inside me rage. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing, replaying everything I'd uncovered and everything she'd said, her lies, her sneering tone, her dismissiveness. I felt betrayed on so many levels, like my entire world had been turned upside down in a matter of hours. I kept asking myself how I didn't see it sooner, how I could have been so blind. All those late-night talks, the shared jokes, the little moments I thought were special, they were just a lie. She'd been sneaking around, screwing my best friend, and I had no idea. The worst part was the way she tried to play it off. Her attitude, her bitchy smirk whenever I confronted her. It was like she was daring me to do something about it. I've always known Lisa was a tough woman, bitchy, manipulative, quick to lie, and I guess I only saw what I wanted to see. But that night, her true colors shone through. She was cold, dismissive, and so good at lying that I almost believed her. Almost. I knew I had to do something. I couldn't just sit here and pretend everything was fine. But what? Confronting her again would only lead to more lies, more blame shifting. I decided I needed to get to the bottom of it. I started thinking about all the moments I'd missed, all the signs I'd ignored, like her phone always being hidden, her defensive attitude whenever I asked about her day. I realized I'd been a fool. I thought I was protecting myself, protecting us, but I'd been blind. In the back of my mind, I kept telling myself I'd confront her more directly, make her admit the truth. But I wasn't ready yet. I wanted to know just how deep this thing went. I needed proof, something concrete that I could hold in my hands and not just believe her words. So I waited for her to come home from work the next day, trying to act normal, but inside I was a mess. When she finally walked through the door with that bitchy smirk still on her face, I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "We need to talk." She rolled her eyes, but I kept my expression serious. I told her I knew about her and David, that I'd seen the messages and I wanted answers. Her eyes flickered again, the same panic I saw before, but she quickly masked it. "Mike, you're overreacting. It's not what you think. We're just friends. It's not a big deal." Her voice was falsely calm, but I could hear the edge of defensiveness behind it. I shook my head slowly. I was so furious I could barely speak, but I managed to say, "It's a big deal, Lisa. You cheated on me just days before our wedding with my best friend. Don't tell me it's nothing." She started to lie again, spinning some bullshit about how they were just talking, how it meant nothing, how I was jealous and insecure. That part made me laugh bitterly. Jealous. Of her sneaking around, of her lying to my face. Yeah, right. I told her I didn't want to hear any more lies, that I knew she'd been lying to me for a long time. She kept insisting it was just a mistake, that she never meant for it to happen. But I saw the truth in her eyes. She was enjoying her little secret, her little power trip. That night I felt my world tearing apart. I went to bed alone, tears threatening to spill over, but I clenched my jaw and stayed silent. I knew everything had changed forever. I was hurt, angry, betrayed, but most of all, I felt so damn stupid for trusting her for so long. I had given her everything, my love, my loyalty, and she had been screwing my best friend behind my back. I kept asking myself how I could have been so blind. In that moment, I realized I couldn't keep pretending everything was normal. I had to decide what I was going to do next, whether to fight for her to try to fix this mess or to cut my losses and walk away. But one thing was clear: I was never going to trust her again. Not fully. Not after what I'd seen. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't already planning my next move. I just needed a little more time to figure out how to do it. The next few days were the hardest I've ever gone through. Every time I saw Lisa, her bitchy smirk made me want to scream, like she thought she was untouchable, like she could lie her way out of anything. But I wasn't about to let her get away with it. Inside, I was boiling with rage, humiliation, and deep shame for ever trusting her. The worst part was knowing she'd been sneaking around, hiding her affair with David all this time, right under my nose. It felt like a punch in the gut every time I thought about it. I started digging into everything I could. I went through her phone again, looking for more evidence. I also reached out to some of our mutual friends, trying to see if they'd noticed anything different about her lately. I didn't want to believe she'd been lying all this time, but the proof was mounting. I found some more messages, flirty texts, suggestive emojis, plans to meet up. It was clear that her relationship with David wasn't just a fling. It was something serious, something she'd been hiding from me for months. Meanwhile, Lisa kept up her act, pretending everything was fine. She'd throw temper tantrums if I asked her about David, call me paranoid, accuse me of being insecure. "You're just jealous because you know you're losing me," she spat one day. I wanted to punch her. I felt so much anger, but I also felt crushed. How could she be so bitchy, so manipulative? She was good at hiding her feelings, better at lying than I'd ever imagined. I kept wondering if she ever really loved me or if I'd been just another pawn in her game. One night, I finally confronted her again. I told her I was done playing her games, that I knew everything. Her response was to get even bitchier, accusing me of ruining her life, of being a controlling asshole. "You're just jealous because I don't want to be with a guy like you anymore," she snapped. I saw the hatred behind her eyes, and that's when I knew there was no saving this. Her lies, her manipulations, it was all there, plain as day. She was making me out to be the bad guy, but I wasn't falling for it anymore. That's when I started seriously thinking about what I should do. I realized I couldn't stay with someone who lied and betrayed me like this. Someone so bitchy, so manipulative. I had to get out, but I also wanted to make her pay for what she'd done. I decided I'd wait until after the wedding to do something drastic. I didn't want to ruin everything before it even started, but I knew I had to come up with a plan. I couldn't let her walk all over me, not anymore. I was hurt, yeah, but I was also furious. I'd been played for a fool, and I was done being the idiot who didn't see it coming. At the same time, I wondered if I should tell David what I knew. Part of me wanted to confront him and make him see the damage he caused. But another part told me it might be better to keep quiet for now. Let her think she's still got control, make her feel safe, then hit her where it hurts later. I wasn't sure what to do, but I knew one thing: I'd be damned if I let her get away with this. If I was going to end things, it would be on my terms, not her manipulative, bitchy way. I had to find a way to make her regret ever messing with me, to make her understand she'd crossed a line she couldn't come back from, and I was going to do it in my own time. The days before the wedding felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I was walking around in a fog, trying to keep it together for everyone else but falling apart inside. I'd spend hours just staring at her, the woman I thought I knew, and wonder how she turned into this manipulative, bitchy liar. I knew she was good at covering her tracks, but I also knew the truth was out now, and there was no going back. The messages, the lies, the sneaking around, all of it had shattered my trust into a million pieces. I started planning how I'd end this. I knew I didn't want to marry someone who'd cheat on me with my best friend right before the biggest step of my life. That kind of betrayal doesn't just go away. I wanted her to feel the pain, the same emptiness I felt. I decided I'd wait until after the wedding, make her think she's got me hooked, make her believe she's still winning, then pull the rug out from under her. That way I could leave her with nothing, crush her ego, and finally get my revenge in a way that would hurt her as much as she hurt me. Meanwhile, I kept gathering evidence. I set up some hidden apps on her phone, installed a tracker on her car, and carefully documented every lie she told. I wanted to be sure I had everything I needed before I made my move. I also reached out to a few friends, asking if they'd noticed anything strange in her behavior, trying to get as much intel as possible. The more I learned, the clearer it became that she'd been lying to everyone, hiding her affair with David from all of us. It was like she'd built a whole new persona, one that was bitchy, manipulative, and completely untrustworthy. One evening, I finally sat her down again. I told her I knew about the affair, that I had proof, and that I was done pretending. Her smirk vanished for a moment, replaced by a flicker of panic. She started to deny everything, calling me paranoid and insecure. She even tried to turn it around on me, saying I was just jealous and controlling. I looked her right in the eyes and told her she was a lying, manipulative bitch and I wasn't going to be played anymore. I told her I was calling off the wedding, that I couldn't marry someone who'd cheat on me with my best friend and then lie to my face. Her reaction was classic Lisa, bitchy, dismissive, flippant. She threw a tantrum, calling me crazy, claiming I was ruining her life. "You're just jealous because you're nothing without me," she spat. I felt my blood boil. I'd never hated anyone as much as I hated her in that moment. I wanted to make her feel what I'd been feeling, betrayed, humiliated, used. I knew I'd never trust her again, and I'd be damned if I went through with the wedding and pretended everything was okay. So I told her to pack her shit. I wasn't giving her the satisfaction of walking down the aisle with a fake smile on her face. I told her to get out, and that I wanted nothing to do with her anymore. She looked at me like I was the villain, like I was overreacting, but I didn't care. I'd finally taken control of my life again. I realized I'd been giving her too much power, letting her manipulate me, let her lie her way into my heart, but no more. I was done being the fool. I was going to pick up what was left of my dignity and move on. The aftermath was brutal. I felt hollow and broken, but at least I knew the truth now. I realized I'd learned a lot from this, about trust, about the kind of woman Lisa really was, and about myself. I used to think love was enough, but now I know it's respect and honesty that count. Betrayal like this shatters all of that, and it takes a long time to heal. But I'm finally starting to see a way forward, even if it's a rough one. I won't let her or anyone else manipulate me again. I'll rebuild, learn from this, and move on. That's what I owe myself. Looking back, I realize how much this whole experience changed me. I used to think love, trust, and loyalty were enough, things you just naturally had in a good relationship. But now I see it's so much more. It's about respect, honesty, and knowing who you're really with. Lisa showed her true colors, and honestly, I'm better off without her. I don't regret discovering the truth, even if it tore my world apart at first, because now I can finally start picking up the pieces and rebuilding my life. The hardest part was accepting that I'd been blind for so long. I let her manipulate me, lie to my face, and I kept trying to see the good in her. But she was never the person I thought she was. She was bitchy, selfish, and deeply dishonest. The betrayal with David, my best friend, was the ultimate backstab. It's crazy how someone you trust with your life can turn out to be the one who destroys it. Now, I'm focusing on myself. I've cut out all the toxic bullshit, and I'm taking the time to heal. I've started going to therapy, talking through everything, because honestly, I needed it. I've also reconnected with my family and some old friends who were there for me when I needed support. The pain still lingers, but it's getting easier to breathe, to think about the future instead of dwelling on the past. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that you can't ignore the red flags. No matter how much you love someone, if they're lying, cheating, and hiding things, it's not worth it. You have to trust your gut, and if it's telling you something's wrong, listen to it. Because the truth always comes out in the end. And when it does, it's better to face it head on than to keep pretending everything's perfect. To anyone out there going through something similar, trust me, you're not alone. It hurts like hell, but you'll come out stronger on the other side. Don't be afraid to walk away from the bullshit, from the lies, from the people who don't treat you right. You deserve honesty and respect. And if they can't give you that, then they're not worth your time. I'm still healing, still learning, but I know one thing for sure. I'll never let someone manipulate me again. I'll never ignore the signs. And most importantly, I'll never settle for less than I deserve. Life's too short to be with someone who doesn't value you. So I'll keep moving forward, alone if I have to, but finally free. And that's a lesson I'll carry with me forever.